of my memoirs, The Thought That Counts. All right. So a couple of days ago, it came to my attention that there was a baby that was crying. A crybaby, if you will, online. Someone that was a crybaby who was crying. And so this was sent to me. Ben Shapiro, a complete betrayal at Fox News. Fox News highlighted the story Friday of a biological girl. Now, can someone tell me what biological means? This is a common, this is a misunderstanding of the English language. A lot of people think biological means something different than a living creature, right? Like, for example, this hand is biological. The grass in my yard is biological. The tree outside of my window is biological, right? So the idea that people are using biological as a modifier for someone's gender, it literally just means that they're alive, right? So like an android, right, who might have a gender, right? Like Android fucking 18 from Dragon Ball, right? That would not be a biological girl because she's an android. Are you tracking here? Biological means alive, okay? So just throwing this out there, but these people, this is the party, again, that doesn't really believe in any sort of scientific study. They don't care about science. They don't care about, for example, they still think that the climate isn't changing, right? So these motherfuckers are dumb as hell. Encouraged her to identify as a boy, whose family encouraged her to identify as a boy as part of its America Together, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, I'm gonna play the clip here because it's linked on this douchebag. That's the thing. It would have been way better if Ben Shapiro wrote this article and didn't post the segment, right? Because the segment is good, and the segment literally disproves whose family encouraged her to identify. This part is just not true. This is just not true. This isn't real. If you watch the segment, but it's a don't believe your lying eyes thing, right? And they know that 90% of people that read this garbage aren't going to watch the segment, right? But they just lie. Again, they don't know what the word biological means, right? They just lie about everything. So anyway, let's watch the segment and then let's read this meltdown.
Walking down the street, you wouldn't think anything different.
14-year-old Ryland Whittington is a typical Southern California teenager. And the Whittingtons, along with mom Hillary, dad Jeff, and sister Brinley, are a typical family. The only difference, though, in Ryland's eyes, is what this family can mean to the tens of thousands of kids under 18 who identify as transgender.
So the thing about this story is, one, it's on Fox News, and two, these are very conservative Christians. And so this is why this is so devastating for the far-right narrative that want, the Ben Shapiros and the Michael Knowles and the Matt Walshes that want to commit a genocide of transgender people. Their goal is genocide. They are modern-day Nazis. That's the goal. If you think that trans people shouldn't exist and you are advocating for legislation that makes them less able to exist, that's called genocide. In the same way that if you make practicing a certain religion illegal and that anyone caught practicing that religion gets killed or gets forcefully converted, what is that called? Does anyone remember? Oh, that was called the Holocaust, right? That's what happened in Germany. So again, the stated goal of the right wing is genocide. Matt Walsh's new documentary is founded upon the goal of genocide, right? But does being a conservative necessitate advocating for genocide? Personally, I think all conservative ideology advocates for genocide in one way or another. It's just, what are you trying to conserve? But There are people that do identify as Christians, that do identify as conservatives, that don't want to participate in this form of genocide.
We put our story out there so people could see that like there's another family out there that is going through what we're going through, or there's another family who's proud of who they are.
Before Rylan could even speak, he managed to tell his parents that he is a boy.
I could just see that it wasn't him trying to be a brat. It was like painful. It was truly painful for him to have to wear feminine clothing and for us constantly telling him that you're a girl.
And unlike some trans kids, when Rylan came out at age 5 a few years later, he had the full support of his parents.
Initially, there was some pushback from us in trying to
So
understand.
again, I want to, like, real quick play this part again.
He had the full support of his parents.
Initially, there was some pushback from us in trying to understand this.
We were confused like most people are.
So, again, Ben Shapiro, in the opening line, right, says that the family encouraged this child. In the video, if you watch the video linked, you'll see the parents admit to pushing back. They admit, oh, we didn't really get it at first and thought it was stupid. That's not full support. That's not encouraging this person to transition. If you have to beg your parents over and over and over again, and then they finally go, oh, fine. That's not the parents encouraging them to do anything. They just lie. They don't care. They just don't care. Like, that's the thing you need to understand. Right-wingers don't give a fuck about free speech. The only reason they talk about free speech is because they want the freedom to lie about whatever they want. Literally, he links evidence to the contrary of what he is saying. That would be like if Ben Shapiro is like, oh, I'm not patting my head. I don't know what you're talking about. What? I'm not patting my head. I'm not rubbing my tummy. What are you talking about, bro? I'm trying to make a sandwich. Like, what?
He thought that gender and sexuality were the same thing. It took us a while to figure out that those two things are different and that children actually do recognize their gender identity very young. Some of them, not all.
But they listened to Rylan and to Hillary's conservative faith.
For me, it's just a deep spiritual belief that if you believe in God and he, created us the way he wanted us, well then yes, he created Rylan just the way he is.
And they listened to families. They met in support groups.
There was a father who was sitting across the table. He says, you have no idea how...
So, this part of the segment is really incredible.
They met in support groups.
There was a father who was sitting across the table. He says, you have no idea how lucky you are to be here, which kind of took me back. I didn't at that point consider myself lucky to be there. And he said, our child had displayed this gender dysphoria or this gender misalignment at the same age that Rylan has. And we didn't listen, and we pushed back.
That pushback led that child to turn to self-harm as a teenager, which 60% of trans and non-binary kids engage in, according to the Trevor Project. More than 50% consider suicide.
That for me.
So, this person at a support group is sitting next to another father who is like, yeah, we pushed back on our child and they tried to kill themselves. And again, this is what the right wing wants. This is what conservatism is founded on. Again, it's a genocidal ideology. The people that say, listening to your child ever is grooming, they're genocidal. They literally want any possible avenue for complete and total eradication of a specific kind of person. It's genocide, is what they're advocating for. It's genocide. It's that simple. There is no if, there is no... We just want to kill 90% of the transgender people. It's not genocide if we only kill 90%. This fucking shit is crazy. It's crazy. And they openly engage... Like Ben Shapiro, again, to go back to this... Like, he is literally writing an article lying about what's in the video he posts, just making up random new information just out of thin air, just made it up as a way to promote the advocacy for genocide. This video would be absolute despicable, insane lunacy if I saw it on CNN or MSNBC. I'd be curious to see a segment this good on MSNBC or CNN, to be honest. To see it on Fox News is a complete betrayal of anything remotely resembling conservatism or decency. Ben Shapiro is saying, why didn't these parents let their kid kill themselves or kill the kid for them? That's what Ben Shapiro is like, oh fuck. These parents didn't drive their own child into suicide. Insane. Right, like, and no one, they're never going to be held accountable for this. Ben Shapiro is never, ever going to be held accountable for promoting and advocating for genocide, because that's not the way our society works. They just don't give a fuck. They will literally say, I want to kill minorities. I want to kill minorities. I want to kill minorities. Whoa, why are you accusing me of wanting to kill minorities? That's what conservatism is.
Me was the turning point. I didn't want to see Ryland go through that.
I'd rather have a living son than a dead daughter. And I guarantee that
I want to play this part again.
I didn't want to see Ryland go through that.
I'd rather have a living son than a dead daughter. And I guarantee that if we had pushed back and done what a lot of parents do, I don't think that we would have either one of the kids that you see before you here today.
Allowing him to...
Again, this is what people like Ben Shapiro advocate for. They want these people to die, and they will do everything in their power to accelerate the mass death of minority groups that they don't like. It's just that simple. And even a dumbass, religiously fundamentalist conservative family can understand that the people in the ideologies that they support and they encourage people to get involved in are like, oh shit, they want me to kill my child, sacrifice my child at the altar of whatever. I don't even know what the fuck they do this. But religious families literally do drive their kids to suicide, kick children out because they're gay or trans, and then they die. Like, I know people that have been kicked out of their families at the age of 14 or 15. Right? Like, this is a very common theme with people that are queer, is they get kicked out of their especially heavily religious families. And then they've got no resources. They've got nobody to help. Oftentimes, they turn to self-harm, suicide, drug addiction, so forth. And this is what the Ben Shapiros of the world want. They want this to happen. They want parents to kill their own children. And isn't that insane? Like, imagine being a parent and being able to be manipulated into killing your own child. And this is why I don't think conservatives should be allowed to have children. This is why I think it would be child abuse to raise a child in a conservative home, because of stuff like this. If you have a child that just happens to be queer, it's pretty much a death sentence a majority of the time. A majority of the time, that's a death sentence. These people are insane. And again, yes, one family in this instance is the exception, and that's great. And I'm happy that this family is embracing their child and not wanting to literally murder their own kid. That's great to me. But this is not the standard in conservative ideology. This is not the standard in religious households at all. This is like an extreme minority of religious households on the right wing. And especially over the last couple of years, right-wingers want to make it impossible for something like this to happen. Now, again, this story, right, this kid is a teenager now, right? So this whole ordeal happened 10 years ago. They don't want another generation of kids to make it. That's what to them, This is a mistake. This is an example of why they want to push for genocide, because they don't want this to happen again. Because there are 5 and 6-year-olds that are going to be coming out as trans. And now families are going to be listening to Ben Shapiro and Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson. And now they're going to be, again, punishing their children and encouraging them to commit suicide now as a result. They don't want this to happen again. Let's keep watching.
To live authentically and true to himself and be who he really feels like he is. When you get to know Rylan, you see just how proud and confident he is of himself.
Rylan's story got international attention in 2014 when a family YouTube video went viral. And Hillary...
Look at that dog. Hold the phone. Look at this dog. Look at this dog.
In 2014.
Oh. Oh.
When a family...
Oh, look at that puppy.
YouTube video went viral. And Hillary has since written a book called Raising Ryland.
I never thought that I would be known for this like as well as I am, but really it's just a small part of who I am.
He just brushes things off his shoulders like it's fine. He moves on in his life and he's just kind of, I think everything we've been through, he's just like learned to do that and he's really good at it. I could never do that.
The Whittingtons believe sharing their story could make a lasting difference in another child's life, something they learned from that support group father nearly a decade ago.
I'm just here to make the ride smoother for others. You might be struggling right now, but we believe in you. This family, we might not know you, we might not know where you live, but you know, we understand you and we believe in you.
What extraordinary courage displayed by Ryland, his sister Brinley, father Jeff, and mom Hillary. I want to thank the Whittington family for speaking to us. It's not easy, particularly at a time when transgender issues have been politicized. People are afraid of what they do not understand, Dana. This family hopes their story will lead to more understanding, more acceptance, and ultimately more...
So again, I just want to also be clear that Fox News, I don't give a shit if you accept transgender people. If you still vote for right-wing Republicans, okay, you are still voting for the genocide of transgender people. That's it. Like, if you voted for Trump in 2020 or 2016, you voted for the genocide of transgender people. If you intend to vote for a Republican in 2024, you are intending to vote for the genocide of transgender people. That's just that simple, right? So that needs to be understood. Anyone voting for right-wing Republicans, the party is the party of genocide, and if you vote for that party, because I want lower taxes, you're sacrificing minority populations for money. You're getting paid off to endorse genocide. So I would just be very clear on that. But let's get back to Ben Shapiro's meltdown. Oh shit, live, the Ben Shapiro show. Wait, is he live right now with... Wait, what? Is he live right now with this? Hold on. Oh, I need to be a member. He's doing a show right now, so we're probably going to get some video clips of this soon, all right? Anyway, let's read the stupid fucking article. Every element of this video is propagandistic, dangerous garbage. The report states that this biologically female child, again, biologically female, that doesn't mean anything. That means female who was alive. And in this case, this is a man, this is a boy, so they're not biologically female because they're a boy and they're alive, therefore they're biologically male. It's that simple. And it's very clear, by the way, that they're on hormone treatment. So just on that out there. Was choosing her gender before she could speak. First of all, that's not true. If you watch the video, they say 5 years old. I don't know about Ben Shapiro. I could speak at 5 years old. I think most people watching this video or live stream could speak at 5 years old. So if Ben Shapiro is having problems speaking at the age of 5, that's his own personal problem. But that is not normal. If you are 5 years old and you are having issues speaking, yikes. I mean, like, I don't know, like, you know, I don't want to blame 5-year-olds for being stupid. You know, it's probably their parents that didn't raise them properly. But, again, this is just, they're making it up. Like, Ben Shapiro watched a different video, didn't even watch the video, who even knows? And he's just making shit up. 5 years old is absolutely, how can someone say, I want to be a boy, if they can't speak? Like, I mean, like, what? Like, but okay. That is madness. The report further states that Ryland's parents began social transition at the age of 5. That is child abuse. The vast majority of children who display signs of gender dysphoria desist over time. That's not even, first of all, that's not true. Citation needed. Second of all, you know what is child abuse? If you have a man, right, raising a boy to, like, not be emotional, and, you know, if you're a man over the age of 20 in this society, you will probably, when's the last time you've cried? I mean, just genuine question. We live in a society that is founded on making boys and men, like, detach themselves from emotions because emotions are for women. And that leads to a lot of, like, weirdo bottling up of emotions. Men don't know how to cry. They don't know how to properly engage in proper emotional responses. They're detached from their own emotions, and it leads to depression and other problems. Now, again, I'm just asking you, if you're a man over the age of 20, when is the last time you've cried? Genuinely, I'm just curious. Feel free to answer in the chat if you're in that demographic. But, like, the idea of, like, raising a child without, like, pushing them, oh, you got, like, it's like the same thing with left-handedness, right? If a child is left-handed and you're forcing them to write with their right hand, that doesn't change the fact that they're left-handed. You're just fucking torturing them. Like, it's that simple. It's just that simple. Like, you trying to force someone to be right-handed doesn't make them right-handed. It just makes them hate you. The report is absolute horrifying propaganda. Now, again, Ben Shapiro apparently is like someone who's wrote books. How come, like, this is like a 3rd grade book level. Like, every paragraph is like 1 to 2 sentences. Like, this is an author? This is a published author writing this? Like, this is like, this is like reading like a fucking Cat in the Hat book. Like, just looking at it without reading any of the pages, like, just seeing the formatting. Like, am I reading Dr. Seuss? Like, what the fuck? Oh, wait, this one might have 3. No, this is still 2 sentences. I don't, like, what? Anyway. We have mom citing her Christian faith to justify the perversion of biological identity. What is biological identity? What does that mean? Biological identity? Like, those don't mean anything. Like what? Like, biological, alive. Identity is like what is this live creature? Like, I just, like, what? We have the radical gender theory activist Trevor Project stats claiming that childhood transition is the only way to prevent suicide. And who are the sources cited, I mean, for that? Transgender people. I can tell you, as a matter of fact, I know a lot of transgender people. I would probably say I've spoken to hundreds, if not thousands, throughout my lifetime. And I can tell you, 100% of the people I've spoken to within the trans community have said if they were unable to transition, they would probably kill themselves, myself included. So when 100% of people in this category are saying something, and then the statistics say 60% of people actually attempt suicide or self-harm, rather than just ideation, you have to provide any claim to debunk that. Any. At all. Like, one claim to debunk that. But they don't. They don't care. I'd rather have a living son than a dead daughter is, again, propagandistic sloganeering. There's no credible evidence that transition alleviates suicidal ideation among children identified as LGBTQ. I mean, there is. But that's the thing. They just deny reality. Anything to support genocide? There is no credible evidence. Now, again, the word here, the actionable word, is credible. Because anyone that's trans that is telling you that this is the way things are, they're not credible because they're radical gender ideology, theoretical, radical. So they're not credible. The only people that are credible are the people that also want to engage in genocide. We have got Dad talking about living authentically by hormonally transitioning a biologically female child, a transition that if continued will result in biological sterilization and or breast and genital mutilating surgery. First of all, a lot of people get sterilized or are sterilized in some way via a car accidents. Maybe their body parts just don't work properly. Like, what is this, like, big fear about being sterilized? Don't we have enough fucking people on this planet as it is? Like, Jesus goddamn fucking Christ. Not everyone needs to fucking procreate, especially if you're a conservative. And also, don't you want radically left-wing gender ideologues to be sterilized? That way they can't procreate, so they're producing left-wing babies, and you get to make 17 conservative fascist babies. Isn't that ideal? How come that's a bad thing? I don't understand. If you hate trans people and you want trans people to die, well, guess what? If you want trans people to stop passing on their transness or whatever, you know what the easiest way to do that is? To just let them sterilize themselves. Like, again, but he doesn't actually care. Like, it's incoherent ideology all the time. And genital mutilating surgery. My goddamn brother in Christ, and I know this guy's a Jew. Have you heard of circumcision? Have you heard of circumcision? If we're talking about genital mutilating surgery, and we're talking about 0.48% of the population that are trans, and again, trans people don't always get genital mutilating surgery. That's also another subset of the 0.48% of the US population that is transgender. An even smaller percentage of that actually get any sort of surgery. Why? Because it's expensive and most trans people can't afford it, right? And also, a lot of people don't even care for it or want it. Meanwhile, 70% of Americans are circumcised at birth. American people that have penises are circumcised at birth. So, okay, you're telling me 0.1% of the population might get a sex change. That's bad. 70% of people that have cocks get their dicks cut off when they're less than fucking 6 months old, and that's fine? Like, I'm sorry, but what? Like, it makes no sense. They don't actually care about genital mutilation. They don't give a shit. They don't give a fuck. They mutilate their kids' genitals all the time. They do it all the time. It's standard. Like, when you have a child in America, it's standard operating procedure. Hey, you want me to cut this kid's dick off? Free of charge. Free dick cutting, free of charge. Isn't that insane? Like, I mean, seriously, this is insane. But again, it's not about logic. It's not about coherence. It's not about any actual argument that exists. Anything that they can to twist into supporting genocide, that's all that matters. So it's not about genital mutilation. It's not about sterilization. None of that matters. It's about, oh, this person's trans, we want them to die? It's that simple. The family became famous in 2014 when Ryland, now 14, was 6 years old. Mom wrote a book about her own heroism. Okay? And, like, this is not about the children. This is about pushing a gender theory that victimizes small children. Where's the victim? Now, again, if you want to look for any example of someone that was forcefully transitioned as a kid and then genuinely regrets it, talk about that story or cite that story. Like, again, and if that was such a widespread phenomenon, why wouldn't Ben Shapiro link that? Oh, by the way, here's a link that proves that people who got forcefully transitioned as a kid regret it later in life. Easy. Just, you obviously know a lot about this subject, right, Ben? So you've obviously written articles and books about that and phenomenon and have actual testimonials from actual people that actually went through this, right? So link it. Is there a link? No. Shit. And this is happening on Fox News, where the family is praised for its extraordinary courage in the face of politicization of transgender issues. People are afraid of what they do not understand, the reporter says. But we do understand the agenda. We understand that it is propaganda on behalf of the destruction of children. What the fuck is this guy talking about? Again, it's garbage. Fox News is too important to conservatives to be weaponized on behalf of the most radical leftist propaganda imaginable. Just being alive and being trans makes you the most radical leftist propaganda imaginable. I want that fucking shit. I want to print that on a t-shirt. Like, propaganda that aims directly at the mental and physical health of children? Right. Because being an Orthodox Jew, right, and teaching your children that if they do any mistake or if they eat a certain thing, they're going to go to hell for all eternity or whatever the fuck. That doesn't, mental, physical, it doesn't matter. Cutting your child's dick off when they're fucking 7 weeks old, there's no physical health being damaged there at all. The company should terminate whoever is responsible for this agitprop abomination. Jesus Christ. What a fucking loser. And again, all of the claims he makes in this fucking, like, Dr. Seuss, I mean, like, that's an insult to Dr. Seuss. But, like seriously, is there any paragraph that has more than 2 sentences? This is 2 sentences. Okay, this is 3, actually. But we do understand the agenda. We understand that this propaganda on behalf of the destruction of children. And then he starts the 3rd sentence, and it is vile. This is like 2.5 sentences, let's be real. Like, I thought this guy was like a published writer. Like, seriously, man. Or is it like that he knows his audience is so fucking stupid that having more than 3 sentences in a paragraph is like, oh, I can't read. Jesus fucking Christ. We got some dumb fuck motherfuckers on this planet. Yo, the circumcision thing, man. Like, when you really, like, understand, like, there was the Alabama anti-trans bill that accidentally banned circumcision, and they had to amend it and say this does not apply to circumcision. Like, it's just like, yeah, cutting your child's dick off when they're 6 weeks old, it's all good with me. And then, of course, like, there is a large percentage of circumcisions that get botched, and then someone's got a fucked up dick for the rest of their life. So, I don't know, man. Like, doesn't cutting your kid's dick off so that they'll never enjoy sex as actually designed for human beings, doesn't that sound a little bit worse than whatever the fuck these motherfuckers are crying about transgender people? Like, think about this. The average American in this country doesn't actually know what sex feels like because they got their dick cut off when they were a kid without their consent, without their even knowledge that that's a thing. They got their dick cut off as a kid, and now they'll never feel what sex actually feels like. Isn't that crazy? That's fine, though. That's fine. But someone might consensually want to take a drug that might end up with them getting sterilized. And again, if that's a big problem, you can just, I don't know, jizz in a tube and throw that in the freezer, right? So it's like, like again, but there's no coherence. It's just genocide. That's it. That's all they care about is genocide. We want to murder people for fun because we can. That's the Ben Shapiro ideology.